You've heard it all before. Sugar feeds cancer. Dairy is deadly. Red meat guarantees your cancer will come back. But what if much of this fear is rooted in half-truths or outdated science? As a cancer survivor, you deserve clarity, not confusion. You've already walked through fire. You shouldn't have to live the rest of your life terrified of every bite you take. It's time to separate science from scare tactics and reclaim your power at the dinner table. This isn't about restriction. It's about strategy. And once you know the truth, food becomes freedom, not fear. If you're navigating cancer recovery or living cancer-free and want a real plan backed by science, not myths, click the link below. I help survivors live boldly and confidently without guesswork. You deserve to eat well and live fully. Join me in the Cancer Freedom Program and take your power back. Let's start with one of the biggest myths cancer survivors face: the fear of sugar. You've probably heard that sugar feeds cancer. And at first glance, this claim feels terrifying, because technically there's a grain of truth in it. Yes, cancer cells use glucose for energy, but so does every single cell in your body. Your heart, your brain, your immune system, everything runs on glucose. Cutting sugar entirely won't starve cancer. It will just deprive your healthy cells of what they need to function. The real problem isn't sugar itself, it's imbalance. The danger comes when your diet is filled with refined sugars and ultra-processed foods that cause repeated spikes in blood sugar and insulin. This environment can encourage inflammation and metabolic issues that may make your body less capable of fighting disease. But eating an apple, enjoying a banana, having a piece of dark chocolate after dinner, these aren't the culprits. Demonizing natural sources of sugar like fruit or whole grains does more harm than good. The real strategy? Focus on balance. Build meals around fiber, protein, and healthy fats. These slow down how sugar is absorbed and prevent those sharp glucose spikes that can be harmful over time. When your diet is rich in whole foods, vegetables, legumes, fruits, seeds, you're naturally reducing your cancer risk without needing to ban sugar entirely. Now let's talk about soy. This one creates a lot of confusion, especially for breast cancer survivors. For years, people were told to avoid soy at all costs because it contains phytoestrogens, compounds that are similar in structure to estrogen. And since some breast cancers are estrogen sensitive, the leap was made. Phytoestrogens must be dangerous. But here's the truth. Phytoestrogens are not estrogen. In fact, they often act more like estrogen blockers in the body, attaching to receptors in a way that reduces the strength of real estrogen's effects. Recent large-scale studies, especially those focused on Asian populations where soy consumption is high, have actually shown the opposite of what many feared. Soy intake has been linked to a reduced risk of breast cancer recurrence and improved survival. So yes, you can have tofu, you can drink soy milk, you can enjoy edamame at your favorite sushi restaurant without fear. What matters is moderation and choosing whole food sources over heavily processed soy products. And that brings us to meat, another food that has been wrongly vilified in broad strokes. Not all meat is created equal. The danger lies in how it's processed and consumed, not in the simple act of eating animal protein. For example, unprocessed red meat, like a steak or lamb chop eaten occasionally as part of a balanced diet, has not been clearly linked to increased cancer risk. But many people lump this together with hot dogs and deli meats, which are a completely different story, something we'll explore in the next section. Instead of cutting out meat entirely, the smarter approach is to ask, how often am I eating it? Is it grass-fed? Is it cooked over high heat, creating harmful compounds? And am I balancing it with plant-based foods that protect my cells? Fear-based headlines might tell you that meat, sugar, and soy are enemies, but science shows us they're just misunderstood. Context is everything, and for cancer survivors trying to navigate post-treatment life, clarity is everything. Let's be honest, it's overwhelming. You finish treatment, and suddenly every food feels like a threat. That confusion breeds anxiety. Anxiety leads to rigid eating patterns. Rigid eating becomes exhausting, and pretty soon, you're no longer living, you're just surviving. That's why it's so important to shift from restriction to strategy. You don't need to fear food, you just need to understand it. For many people, the idea of giving up processed meats feels extreme. A bacon sandwich on Sunday morning, a deli wrap at work, or sausages on the grill, they're everyday habits. But when it comes to reducing cancer risk, this is where the data is loud and clear. Processed meats are not neutral. They're dangerous. Not in theory, not in some exaggerated clickbait article. This is one of the rare food groups that's been repeatedly and consistently linked to actual cancer development in human studies. So what exactly is processed meat? It's any meat that's been altered to improve flavor or extend shelf life. This includes curing, smoking, salting, fermenting, or adding chemical preservatives. Think bacon, hot dogs, sausage, salami, beef jerky, ham, and even many types of deli turkey or chicken slices. You might think of them as convenient or tasty, but your body experiences them very differently. Here's the science. In 2015, the World Health Organization classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen. That puts it in the same category as tobacco and asbestos, substances we already know cause cancer. This wasn't based on a single study or a weak correlation. It was the result of reviewing over 800 epidemiological studies, and the conclusion was clear. There is sufficient evidence that processed meats cause colorectal cancer in humans. That's not a maybe, that's not a possibility, that's a confirmed risk, and it doesn't stop there. Processed meats have also been linked to an increased risk of stomach cancer, pancreatic cancer, and even certain types of breast and lung cancers. Just 50 grams of processed meat a day, that's about 2 slices of bacon or 1 small hot dog, can increase your risk of colorectal cancer by up to 18%. That's a lot for something most people don't even think twice about. The reason processed meats are so dangerous lies in what happens to them before they ever reach your plate. One of the biggest culprits? Nitrates and nitrites. These are preservatives that keep the meat looking pink, extend shelf life, and prevent bacterial growth. But once inside your body, these compounds can convert into nitrosamines, a group of chemicals known to damage DNA and initiate cancer development. Even meats labeled nitrate-free often use celery powder or other natural sources of nitrates, which can behave the same way in your body. The marketing may change, but the risk doesn't. And the truth is, it's not just about nitrates. Other harmful substances also develop during the processing and high-heat cooking of meats, like polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, and heterocyclic amines, HCAs, which are also known to be carcinogenic. So yes, a crispy strip of bacon might taste good. But when you consider what it's doing at a cellular level, disrupting DNA, promoting inflammation, overwhelming your detox systems, it starts to lose its appeal. Now, let's get real. This isn't about being perfect. Life isn't meant to be lived under a microscope. I'm not here to tell you that a single hot dog at a baseball game is going to undo your recovery. What I am saying is this: don't let processed meats become your default. Don't build your everyday meals around them. Don't keep them in your fridge where they quietly sneak into your sandwiches, salads, and snacks out of convenience. Processed meats shouldn't be your norm. They should be your exception. And even then, only occasionally. I've worked with survivors who swung to both extremes. Some who ate processed meats daily without realizing the risk, and others who were so terrified they wouldn't touch meat at all. I remember one woman, a breast cancer survivor, who came to me panicked because she ate a slice of ham at her nephew's birthday party. That's not the relationship we want with food. That's not health. That's fear. So what's the solution? Strategy. Empowered eating. Having a clear plan that respects both your body and your lifestyle. Here's what I recommend to my clients in the Cancer Freedom Program. Eliminate processed meats from your regular routine. Don't keep them stocked at home. If it's not in your fridge, you won't reach for it in a pinch. Instead, opt for whole cuts of unprocessed meats like chicken breast, turkey thighs, or fresh cuts of beef or lamb. Cook meats at lower temperatures. Grilling and frying can create carcinogenic compounds. Try baking, steaming, or slow cooking when possible. If you do grill, marinate your meat beforehand in herbs and acids like lemon juice or vinegar. This can reduce harmful compound formation. Add plant-based meals into your week. Even if you're not going fully vegetarian, including more legumes, lentils, tofu, or tempeh will naturally lower your intake of risky foods while increasing your intake of protective antioxidants and fiber. 4. Don't obsess over one bite. If you're out and really craving a slice of pepperoni pizza or brunch with friends, give yourself permission. But be clear, this is a treat, not a pattern. Guilt doesn't prevent cancer. Awareness and consistency do. And here's the most important mindset shift. Your cancer risk is not shaped by one food or one moment. It's shaped by patterns over time. Processed meats have no place in a diet focused on healing, recovery, and longevity. Not because you're fragile, but because you're powerful. You now know better. You've survived. Your body deserves the best possible fuel for the life ahead of you. The food industry isn't going to warn you. Marketing won't. But science will. And it's telling you, your health has more power than you think. Let's talk about a topic that's often brushed aside when it comes to cancer prevention and recovery: alcohol. We toast with it, unwind with it, celebrate with it. But when it comes to your health, and specifically your cancer risk, alcohol is not as innocent as it seems. In fact, it's not even neutral. Alcohol is a known carcinogen. That's not opinion. It's classified by the World Health Organization as a Group 1 carcinogen, right alongside tobacco, asbestos, and processed meat. What does that mean in practical terms? It means there is sufficient, strong, and consistent evidence that alcohol causes cancer in humans, not might cause, not maybe in high doses. It causes cancer. Yet so many people are unaware of this connection. We talk about sugar, dairy, meat, but we rarely discuss alcohol with the same seriousness. Why? Because alcohol is normalized. It's wrapped up in culture, lifestyle, identity. A glass of wine at dinner, cocktails with friends, champagne at celebrations. It all feels harmless. But beneath the surface, alcohol is quietly disrupting your body's defense systems. When you drink alcohol, your liver breaks it down into a compound called acetaldehyde. That's where the problem starts. Acetaldehyde is a toxic chemical that can damage your DNA, prevent your body from repairing that damage, and increase the likelihood of abnormal cell growth. That's the biological mechanism behind how alcohol contributes to cancer, and the risk isn't small. Just one drink a day can increase your risk of breast cancer by about 9%. Have 3 drinks a week, that's a 4% increased risk. And these numbers aren't for heavy drinkers. This is light to moderate consumption, the kind most people would never even question. Breast cancer, liver cancer, colorectal cancer, esophageal cancer, mouth and throat cancer. Alcohol increases the risk of all of them. And yes, this includes red wine. The myth that red wine is somehow healthier or protective is outdated. While red wine does contain antioxidants like resveratrol, you'd have to drink gallons to get the benefits, alongside all the toxicity. You can get those same antioxidants from foods like grapes, blueberries, and peanuts, without the downside. Now maybe you're thinking, but my grandmother lived to 95 and had a drink every night. And yes, exceptions exist. But those are anecdotes, not data. We all know someone who smoked for decades and never got sick. But when we look at population studies involving hundreds of thousands of people, the patterns are undeniable. More alcohol equals more cancer. This isn't about individual stories. It's about the bigger picture. And let's not forget, the world your grandmother lived in isn't the world we live in today. The alcohol industry is more aggressive. The alcohol itself is stronger. The eyes, exposure starts younger, and our bodies, already dealing with environmental toxins, stress, and hormone disruption, are more vulnerable. This isn't about moral judgment. It's about biological reality. So what do you do with this information, especially if alcohol is a part of your social life or stress management routine? The answer isn't necessarily quit forever. The answer is awareness, intentionality, understanding the risk, and making choices that align with your goals. Here's what I tell my clients. First, get honest about how much you're drinking and why. Is it daily? Is it tied to stress? Is it automatic? Is it helping you cope with something deeper, like anxiety, loneliness, or pressure to be perfect? Second, explore your options. The alcohol industry has noticed the shift. There are now hundreds of alcohol-free alternatives that taste great and give you the same experience without the harm. You can still hold a glass at a party, still toast at a dinner, still enjoy the moment without sacrificing your health. Third, don't wait for cancer to return to make changes. Your power lies in prevention. Reducing alcohol, even by just a few drinks a week, can lower inflammation, improve sleep, reduce estrogen levels in the body, and support your immune system. These are all factors that matter deeply for survivors. But here's where the shift really happens. When you stop looking at these changes as punishment and start seeing them as protection, when you stop fearing food and drink and start choosing what fuels your strength. There's no shame in enjoying life, but there is power in knowing how to enjoy it with wisdom. And this brings us to one final critical idea. The most dangerous thing you can consume isn't sugar or soy or even alcohol. It's fear. Fear of food, fear of choices, fear of relapse. Fear keeps you stuck. Fear robs you of joy. And fear makes you vulnerable to every myth, every headline, every trend that promises a cure if only you restrict just a little more. Cancer survivors are strong, but too often they're made to feel fragile, as if one bite of cheese or one sip of wine could undo all their progress. That kind of thinking is not freedom. That's prison. True cancer. Freedom comes from knowledge, from strategy, from understanding your body, not controlling it, from learning how to nourish it, not punish it. It comes from making empowered choices, not fearful ones. So let's zoom out. We've talked about myths like sugar, soy, and unprocessed meat that are often feared without real evidence. We've talked about processed meats and alcohol, which do have clear links to cancer and should be treated seriously. But what ties it all together is not what's on your plate. It's how you feel about what's on your plate. When you eat in fear, even the healthiest food can feel like poison. When you eat with purpose, even occasional indulgences become part of your healing. This isn't about being perfect. This is about being informed. So what now? Now, you get to decide. Do you want to keep guessing, or do you want a plan? Do you want to follow every headline, or do you want to follow the science? Do you want to eat in fear or eat in freedom? I've worked with thousands of survivors who felt confused, restricted, scared, and I've helped them build a new relationship with food, one rooted in clarity, confidence, and calm. You don't need to figure this out alone. If you're ready to stop fearing food and start fueling your freedom, I'd love to support you. Click the link below to apply for the Cancer Freedom Program. I'll show you exactly how to eat with strategy, not stress. This isn't about perfection. It's about power. And you deserve to have that power back.